We're continuing our conversations with candidates for U.S. Senate in Arkansas. You just heard from Democrat Hallie Schaffner. Now we're offering candidates interview options, meeting in their hometown, at their place of work, or in our 4029 studio, all to help you get to know them better. And joining us now on 4029 News on the Record, James Russ Russell, joining us now as Senate candidate. So, Russ, thank you so much for joining us here in studio. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what position you're running for, and why you decided to run.
Okay, well, a little bit about me. I am a graduate of UCA. I was originally studying a joint MD-JD track, going after bioethics. My wife beat me to the punch. She got her master's degree and her licensure, and I had to shift over to being a business owner real quick. So we've run an outpatient mental health care facility for the past 11 years now, based in Little Rock, but serving the entire state through telehealth. That's been our main focus here lately. As far as my background, there was some of the stuff that made the news that I want to clarify. I enlisted in the Army National Guard as a nuclear, biological, chemical warfare specialist. I unfortunately was removed from training because I blew out my disc at L4, L5. So I attempted to serve, my body failed me, but I don't want any kind of stolen valor accusations on that. No, we've been really outspoken advocates for marginalized communities, women's rights, immigration rights, workers' rights, LGBTQIA rights, all of those. These are all, for me, they're essentially human rights issues. They're things that we shouldn't be quibbling over. That everyone deserves these basic human decency and respect rights. And that's what we've been fighting for and what I've been fighting for since the beginning. So, that's kind of part of what drew me into this.
And you have been active in politics, and you ran for governor when we first met.
That's right.
For the Democratic nomination, the last election round. Just wanted to clarify that you are running for the Democratic nomination for the Senate this time, challenging Senator Tom Cotton currently. So let's go over some of those issues that you mentioned. What are the top 3 issues that you're running on?
Honestly, the biggest issue I'm running on right now is just preserving our democracy while we still have it. We're seeing massive pushes towards authoritarianism. Fortunately, here recently, we've seen pushback from the courts, like with the judge making the ruling that the use of military in LA was unconstitutional. So we're finally seeing some pushback. But we need people who will actually stand up against these things when we know they're wrong, instead of just waiting in line. Immigration reform being a big thing for me too, because in that case in particular, we had a bipartisan bill for immigration reform being pushed through during the Biden administration that had wide support across the aisle. But because one person decided they needed that issue to remain a problem, every single Republican shut down, voted against it. We could have had the problem fixed. Instead, now we've got ICE's budget going through the roof. We've got the passage of the big beautiful bill, which is going to inflate the deficit by between $3.5 and $5 trillion, depending on what all plays out. So my issues are reining that back in. Another one being, again, with the judiciary getting involved, recognizing that the power of tariffs lies with Congress. That's under taxation. So that's not something we can implement. And with the disruption of USAID and the tariffs going on that they're interrupting international commerce, now we're looking at our farmers suffering because they can't sell on the export market. China's looking at other markets, buying from Brazil, things like that. So we need to address those issues. The agriculture being the segue into, because that's our #1 industry in the state. That affects everybody at every level, not just the farmers, and that doesn't care who you voted for. Like, that is going to impact you, especially when we're still living in a state where 1 in 5 people have food insecurity. If we have the largest agriculture, if that's our main industry, and we can't make sure that all of our people are fed, then we need to change some policies and work with the farmers and with the markets to try and find reasonable ways to work on that.
Again, that was James Russ Russell, a Democrat who is running for U.S. Senate in 2026. Current Senator Tom Cotton is also running for re-election. Cotton talked to us last month about what he thinks of the big, beautiful bill passing over this summer.
Most Americans are going to, first off, not see their taxes go up, which would have been the case at the end of the year. But then you have a lot of other provisions that are actually going to lower their taxes. So the standard deduction for more than 90% of all Arkansans is going up. If you work in a field where you get tips or you get a lot of overtime, or if you're a senior citizen on Social Security, you're also going to see your taxes cut. And that doesn't account for any of the other provisions that support businesses who are going to create more jobs, be able to pay more.
We have reached out to the press office for U.S. Senator Tom Cotton. As soon as we get an interview with him about his campaign, we will bring you right here 4029 News on the Record. And next week on 4029 News on the Record, we will hear more from Schaffner and Russell.